Your job as a leader is to empower the people that work for you. That's the only job I've got, really. It's to empower the other people, because I don't typically, I go on sales calls, but that's not my primary job. When you're a manager, your job is to enable your people to do their jobs. Some people are not cut out for owning their own business. If you are, it's the greatest thing in the world. If you're not, it'll be the heaviest burden you ever had. We don't throw our people under the bus, and we don't lie to our customers. And that carries so much, that buys you so much political capital, because people know you're going to tell them the truth. They know you're not going to try to twist it. They know you're not going to try to deceive them. Now, that being said, to be fair, that doesn't mean that you have to call everybody up and completely dump your guts. It doesn't mean you have to say everything you know, but you have to tell the truth, and not in a deceptive way.
All right. Good morning, Savannah. Welcome to the Savannah Business Showcase. I'm Terez, your host, and I am here this morning with Mr. Chuck Brown, CEO of Infinity Inc. So Infinity Inc., from their website, their goal is to save you and your employees time, make sure your programs work smoothly together, and plan for your business future growth. Chuck is the founder and CEO. He has more than 30 years experience in computer network support and IT consulting. Chuck previously served with the City of Savannah's Information Services Department for about 15 years. And in 1999, after seeing a need for local support, he partnered with his brother David to found Infinity Inc. That sound right?
That's it.
Okay, all right, good. All right, so before we get started, I have a new way to introduce my guests and kind of get you in the mindset of the show. So the goal of the show is to inspire local entrepreneurs to take the leap into entrepreneurship, and also to just provide some value and share how you provide value. So here's a scenario: you're in your neighborhood, you're walking down the road, and you see a young kid comes up to you and asks you a question and says, "Mr. Brown, Mr. Chuck, I admire you. You're my hero. How can I be like you when I grow up?" So in the language that a 10 or 12-year-old can understand, what does it take to be Chuck Brown?
Wow, that's a tall order. First, you had a question: does he really want to be Chuck Brown? Is something wrong with him? Find something that you like to do, that you can be passionate about, and do it. I love what I do. I've done this since I was in college. It's what I've always wanted to do. Some people are not cut out for owning their own business. If you are, it's the greatest thing in the world. If you're not, it'll be the heaviest burden you ever had. Because there's a lot to it. But for a kid who's young, study hard, read a lot, read voraciously about everything you can. I think that's one of the things that helped me early on, is that I love to read. I would read computer magazines, I would read books, just read, because it gives you ideas. And that's pretty much it, school and reading.
Okay. All right, so that said, I like that a lot. But So what do you do? What is Infinity? Give us a little brief history of yourself.
Personally, professionally, what are you looking for?
Personally and professionally. So who's Chuck Brown, and then who's Infinity Inc.?
Fundamental for David and myself to the company is that we're believers. We try to do everything we do in a way that would honor God. That's probably the most important thing about this. It's how we run our company. It's how we try to run our lives, sometimes successfully, sometimes not so much. We are both family-oriented. We both have families that mean a lot to us. We try to run the company as well. That's one of the things that we tell all people that we interview, is that we're a very family-friendly company. If you have something with your kid coming up, a soccer game that you need to make, we want you to make it. It's less important that you have the time available than it is that you do the things that are going to keep your family together. So those core values are much more important than business values to us. From a business perspective, we believe that if you do things right the first time, if you get a company set up the right way, if you put the right policies in place, they're going to have fewer problems down the road. It's really not a technical solution. It's a holistic view of how you do things. If you do them right the first time, do them thoroughly, they will lead to better results down the road. And that's applied to technology. So when we take on a new client, we go in, we try to evaluate everything they have, we label everything, we document everything, we try to get everything set up right in the first place, because that's going to cause them fewer problems, which makes them happier and us more profitable. And in a nutshell, that's it.
Okay, so take a step back. What like where are you from, and what got you into IT?
I'm from Savannah. My family has been here for a couple of generations. I grew up on the south side. Went to Jenkins High School, got a BS in computer science at Armstrong. My father worked for a company called American District Telegraph. They were an alarm company, and he would bring electronic stuff home: infrared lights, ultrasonic sensors. And I would take that crap and play with it. I'd take it apart, build stuff, put it in my room, whatever. Well, when I went to college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. The first time I walked into the computer lab at the time, and kids listening to this won't have a clue what I'm talking about, but the teletype machines, sorry, it's old school.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, we all connected to a mainframe somewhere else. There were no personal computers. They were just dumb terminals that went clank, 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 and that's how they printed stuff out on ugly paper.
Gotcha, okay.
I fell in love with it. It was the closest thing to the electronics that I'd done before that I'd ever seen in school, and that was it for me. I've never wanted to do anything else since then. So I was very fortunate. Kids today, a lot of times they go to school not having a clue what they want to do. They get a degree. They don't know what they want to do. They get another degree. They don't know what they want to do. I walked into that lab and knew what I wanted to do. Yeah. I've been sunk ever since with that.
Yeah.
So coming out of college, I got a job with the city as a programmer. From programmer, moved to mainframe systems programmer, which basically oversaw the mainframe stuff that we had at the time. Was instrumental in a plan to convert the city from mainframes to networking. Got bored, started taking outside clients, got to the point where I couldn't do both well, so I thought, you know what, it's time to go do this on my own. David is 5 years younger than I am. He was with the U.S. District Courts doing about the same thing.
Okay.
And we talked about it, and he wanted to do the same thing. So we both quit our jobs about the same time, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah.
Scared mom and dad to death.
I bet.
As kids, we didn't get along that well. But as business partners, it's been good. We bring different strengths, and, over the years, we've had our conflicts, but never anything horrible, never anything that we took outside the business. And it's very good. A lot of people that we talk to that are entrepreneurs can't really leave the business. They can't go away. They can't take a vacation. Dave and I trust each other, which means that if one of us wants to leave, we leave. And we can, we have the ability to have somebody there that we trust implicitly with the good of the company. So that has made things a lot simpler as well.
Awesome. Okay, you said something a minute ago about how you found your passion early in life, and that's something I want people to out there with kids or out there early in life to really understand, because if you can find that early, then you can hit that 10. I think it was Malcolm Gladwell popularized the 10,000 hour rule. If you can get it early, then you have 10,000 hours before you're 30 or early 30s, and you'll just, you'll be an expert. You'll be an influencer in your field.
Well, there's two sides to the passion thing. On one hand, I was very fortunate because I can make a living at my passion. I think a lot of people do make a mistake in that because they haven't found their passion, they feel like they can't go make a living. It's not a requirement that you be passionate at the thing that you're making a living at. It helps. It's great. But there's also nothing wrong with making a living at a good, solid job and having a passion that job enables you to do somewhere else. Maybe your passion's acting in the theater, so you get a job doing X, Y, Z, and on your off time, you help kids in theater. There's nothing wrong with that. If you can marry the two, that's wonderful. That's great.
I agree. I like. I listen to a lot of Mike Rowe interviews. Yeah. He has that same viewpoint. You said something else too. So, like, when you and your brother quit your jobs, did you? What was the process like when you decided to quit? Did you already have clients lined up, or you just jumped all in?
We had, I think, 4 clients at the time.
Okay.
And it was not a healthy mix. One of them had paid the lion's share. So when that one decided to go a different route, basically they weren't headquarters here; they were headquartered somewhere else. Decided to go a different route based on headquarters. We were scrambling at that point. But honestly, we have made every business mistake you can make. We didn't know a lot about business. I think I took a single accounting class in college. He probably did the same thing.
Yeah.
We've just been blessed. I truly believe that God smiled on our company because we've made every mistake you could possibly make, and we're still here. We've been doing this for 17 years now, and we've never missed a payroll.
Awesome.
So
that's awesome. When did you first feel the entrepreneurial bug? Like, did you know from an early age you wanted to be an entrepreneur, or when?
I don't know if it was entrepreneurial or just the feeling that you knew what you wanted to do and how you wanted to do it, and there was nobody else that was going to do it the way you wanted it done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that has a lot to do with it. You just had this bug that it's not being, and that sounds arrogant, I don't mean it that way, but that other people aren't doing it the way that you would like to see it done. In order to have that control, it kind of means you have to do it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing led to the other because the way we were doing it was the right way,
and
it was good, and people liked it. We have Kat doing marketing now, and we have a good sales guy now. But for years we had neither. It was all word of mouth, and the company grew for basically 15 years without any advertising, without any marketing. It was all referral because we took care of our clients. They knew they could depend on us, and they told other people. It's great when somebody calls you up and goes, "I was talking to so and so last night, and they said this problem I'm having. You guys could help us with. Will you come talk to me?" That's what you want, and that's a very Savannah thing too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a piece of advice from someone very early on who basically said, Savannah's not like Atlanta. Atlanta, you can screw up on one side of the city, you pick up your stakes, you move 5 miles down the road, nobody's heard of you.
Right.
In Savannah, if you screw up on the south side of Savannah tonight, tomorrow they'll know on the other side of Savannah. He said, it's very cliquish, very group-oriented, and reputation is everything. It's about knowing people here and having people know you, not just hear of you, but know who you are and what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
And we've tried to live that way here.
That's great advice, especially for somebody starting a business like myself.
Well, it is. I mean, and that's one thing I probably should have mentioned. The groups that you become a member of. I mean, the Chamber of Commerce has been a great ally here. We have a very strong, good chamber. They've helped us a lot.
Okay.
We're members of Downtown Rotary. We're members of Executive Association, and these groups, they help form. Even if you don't get business out of the group, they form relationships. And they form friendships, and those people can help you later on, and that is critical. We hosted the new member breakfast for the chamber last year, and one of the things I told the people there is, you got to get involved. When the chamber has events, go to the events, meet people, shake hands, introduce yourself, help out, man a table, get involved, and that's probably the single most important thing you can do in Savannah. Okay.
All right, so for everybody just joining us, I'm here once again with Chuck Brown, CEO of Infinity Inc. And Chuck, I did an interview a while back, and it's the one that Kat heard with the Coastal Center for Developmental Services, and their PR guy. I told him I was interviewing you, and he's had so many great things to say. Like he couldn't sing your praises enough. His name is Jarrell Dickey. I hope I'm saying that right. But he's a great guy.
Yeah.
Just met him, but he's a great guy. He couldn't sing your praises enough. So what is it about Infinity Inc. and the way you and your brother run things that sets you apart and makes people give unsolicited praise?
We do try to do things the right way. We are also very nonprofit oriented. Second Harvest is one of our larger clients, and we support them. We do the events that they do. CCDS, we can't say enough about what they do, and it's kind of a small world kind of thing. We go to church with a couple that founded Low Country Down Syndrome Society.
Okay,
and LDSS has a lot of people who are trained at CCDS. So, we were doing Night of Champions because of LDSS and ran into CCDS people there, and it's all interconnected. It all, again, part of it's Savannah. It's just everybody knows everybody. But the other thing is, these are good organizations, and you do the best you can to help them, and they say nice things about you when you do. It's just that simple. We try to treat them the right way, and we try to give them help when they need it.
Mm-hmm. So, what does that mean? How do you treat people the right way that's different than other businesses?
Again, at the risk, I don't want to put anybody down.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is that we tell our people our number one core value is do the right thing always. Because you can say you don't know the right thing. There is always a right thing. There is not there's two right things or there's no right way. There's always a right way to do something. And we have had employees come to our door and go, well, that number one core value we got? Yeah. Well, we did this over here at this company, and it wasn't the right thing. We need to do it this way. All right, go do it. It may cost us money. It may mean we lose money on that job, but we're going to do our best to do it the right way. And everybody says that. You won't find a business that doesn't say that, but we really try to do it. I can't count the number of times that we've had an employee, not like we get complaints all the time about invoicing, but a client, calls up and goes, hey, this is on here. I don't think it was worth that, or this, or that, or the other. What do you think's fair? What's fair to you and me? Let's work out a thing that's fair to both of us. And we do that consistently. And that is something that I do think sets us apart from a lot of businesses. I won't say every other business, but from a lot of businesses, just don't view it that way.
Yeah.
We don't believe, and this is going to sound kind of silly unless you think it through, we don't believe that our business is here to generate money. We believe money is generated by our business being the kind of business it should be. It's a byproduct rather than a direct intention, if that makes sense. Because if you do things the right way, it's kind of like selling. We don't try to sell anybody anything. We try to educate. We sit down with the client and go, okay, here are your options. Here's the good, here's the bad, here's the cost. We educate. If it's a value to you, you're going to pick to buy it. So in a way that's selling, but it's really not. Money's the same way.
Yeah.
If you do all these things your company needs to do, if you take care of your clients, if you educate them the right way, if you treat them the right way, money's going to come out of it. You're going to be profitable.
Yeah, I agree. I listen to a lot of Zig Ziglar, and he always says, if you want to make $1 million, add value to 1 million people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so I can definitely see how that's a core value, and it's something you guys live by as your company. What's my next question? Okay, so let's take another step back.
Okay.
Any kids?
5.
We're
blended. We're blended.
Okay.
It's a second marriage for both my wife and myself.
Okay.
So our kids range from, my oldest daughter's going to kill me now, from Ben just turned 17, the youngest. He's still at home. The oldest is finishing up her last year of law school at Emory and
Awesome.
is 27, I hope. Need to do the math, sorry. And they range in between.
I
So
can cut this out.
that's look it up real quick. But yeah, so it's a large family.
Yeah, that's good. We have 2. We have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and my wife wants more. We'll see. Sometimes I think about getting it snipped and not telling it.
We're really trying hard.
I know. Okay, so are any of your children entrepreneurial or business oriented?
Remains to be seen. The oldest 2, Brittany's still in law school. Ashley is Jill's oldest, and she is finishing up her master's at Southern.
Okay.
Chad is my youngest, and he works with us.
Awesome.
And Molly is her middle child, and Molly is working between jobs. She's working right now in Effingham. None of them have shown a propensity to strike out on their own. The older 2 may. I'm not sure. We'll see.
Why do you think that is? I've noticed a theme. It seems like people who have been successful in business on their own, their children don't necessarily want to become entrepreneurial.
I don't know. I mean, I really don't know what that gene is that causes that. I don't know if it's a dissatisfaction. To be honest, it may be an arrogance that people aren't going to do things the way you want them done, and you have this thing in your mind. And it may also be later in life for them. They may, work jobs and then find, to do this thing really the way I want to do it, I'm going to have to do it myself. So I don't know. It may be once they're working and have regular full careers that they find that they're not really happy with what's available. So
Right.
they want to make it themselves.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. I don't quite know. But I do look. Just like you said, you found your passion early in life. I'm looking for that in my kids right now. You know, just trying to see what they're good at, so I can help point them in that direction more.
And I do think, without getting into a whole millennial bashing thing, I do think things are different now. I think when we went to school, you went to school in order to get a job. I mean, your goal was to hurry up, get ready, get out, go to work, build a family. And today, for a lot of kids, school is an end into itself. I'll go to school for a while. Then if I don't really find something, I'll go to school a little while more. Then I'll go to school a while more. And for me, it was like, get it over with, get it behind me, and go to work. Because I didn't really like school. I didn't want to be in school.
Yeah, same here.
I thought about going back and getting my master's. And I'm like, geez, the idea of having to put up a school again is just not worth it.
Yeah.
I'd rather work than go to school.
Same here. Yeah, I hated school, especially high school. I went to Carolina for college, but I was even a little known fact about me. I was prom king in high school.
Congratulations.
I guess I still hated it. I still didn't like school, but yeah, it's something about that where you just feel like you can have more impact if you're learning on your own. Like I feel like I would have been just as smart, just as educated if I would have been able to self-teach myself, be self-taught. You know?
It was part of that and part I just didn't like school. I remember graduation of high school where all the girls crying, leaving their friends, and I was like, I will never darken the school's doors again. I would just want to be out of here. What are you crying about?
No high school reunions or anything? Did you? No, you never went back?
Didn't like it, was glad to be gone.
I definitely understand. I haven't been back yet, but cool. Okay, did you play any sports, anything, or just all IT? Okay, all right.
Well, I played a little bit of baseball, a little bit of basketball. Nothing really, not really.
Okay.
My parents weren't big sports people, and they didn't push it. You know, there are times I really wish they had, because there's a camaraderie to that you miss.
Mm-hmm.
But it's all good.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about this a little bit before the show, and you're from Savannah, families from Savannah. So why do you stay in Savannah? You could probably be successful and branch out with Infinity and other areas, but why stay in Savannah?
Originally, it was because of family, because I have a lot of family here, and the idea that my kids will grow up, and they will have some recollection of their great-grandparents.
Mm-hmm.
You move away and you don't have that. They're just people you might have remembered, might not. And that was really important at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there's a lot of business yet to conquer here for Infinity in Savannah. We certainly could branch out, and we've talked about it, we've thought about it, but I think a lot of people kind of have a knee-jerk reaction. If we're successful here, we have this need to replicate it somewhere else,
mm-hmm.
and they underestimate how hard that really is. It's very, very difficult to branch out and be successful. Now, once you've completely conquered Savannah and there's no more business here left to take, or it's getting increasingly difficult to acquire new business, sometimes it's time to look at another market, either to acquire or start up a startup somewhere else. But I also look at outside firms that come into Savannah and try to build, compete with us and build a business here. It's very, very hard. Not that it can't be done. If you have enough time and money, you can do it. But why?
Yeah.
So, to me, a better solution is build the company we have to a point where it's extremely successful, and then either sell it or take more of a backseat role in it, or however you want to do that, and then you can do what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
And still, the time may come. It may come that we want to branch in another location, either probably closer areas than further away, because further away is just very difficult to manage. But it's not on the radar right now.
Got you. So, and does any other family work with you outside of your son and your brother?
Nope, that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Just to us.
Okay. All right. Cool. Anything I'm leaving out? We got a few more minutes. I'll think of something. Let's think of something. What? So outside of IT, what else do you do? Do you do anything else? What? I know, like you said, you're very service oriented, community oriented. What other types of charities or organizations are you guys a part of, or you a part of?
We're very involved with our church, and David and his family is as well. We have a camper. We this is one of those. One of the things I guess we could talk about the difference in David and myself. See, David is the more practical today kind of guy. I'm the dreamer kind of guy. So I'm like, where are we going to be in 5 years? David's like, well, that's wonderful. How are we making payroll tomorrow? So there's a little bit of, I don't want to say conflict, because conflict is often used as a negative term. It is a conflict, but it's a healthy conflict. Mm-hmm. It's a challenging of how do we grow, but at the same time, how do we stay stable? So those kind of things are very important to us. But we talk about impulsiveness and wanting to go out and do things. And I say this for a personal reason. So about a year and a half ago, my wife and I were out one Saturday. We had an idea. When David and I were growing up, we had a pop-up camper, Coleman pop-up camper. You pop out the side, small thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we were going to go out and look at small used campers. And, well, before the end of the day was over, we had basically purchased a 30-foot travel, 10,000-pound travel trailer. So it went that way. So that was all good. So we camped last year. We enjoyed it. And then about February of this year, we went down to Tampa to an RV show and saw the RVs there and thought, that camper we bought 9 months ago, it just really doesn't have the things that we want. So we sold a 30-foot and bought a 38-foot fifth wheel camper.
Okay.
So camping is something that we like to do now.
Okay.
We tent camp some before with the kids, but now we take the travel trailer.
Yeah.
I mean the fifth wheel and go camping. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay.
So we like to do that. I like to fly fish.
Okay.
Not very good at it, but my son and I, for his 18th birthday, we went to Alaska. Jill has relatives there, so we went to Alaska for 12 days, and we fished up there with her family.
Nice.
So that was fun. So now that we have the fly fishing and we have the camper, a long-term goal, one of those bucket list things, is to take the camper cross-country to Alaska. So that'll be a while.
Yeah, that will be a while. So I was reading through the site earlier today, doing a little bit of research, and it's a lot of jargon on there for the non-technically inclined. So like to cut through the jargon a little bit, like what does Infinity do in layman's terms?
Okay, in layman's terms, what we do the most of, what our bread and butter is called managed services. And managed services is where we are more or less your outsourced IT department, but it's a little higher level than that. So when we sign a managed service agreement with somebody, we come in. It's a month. You pay a month-to-month fee based on the size of the company and the amount of IT equipment that you have. And we bring our people in and we evaluate the network. We look at everything you have. We label everything. We document everything. We put certain policies in place. We make sure your backups are where they should be, your antivirus is where they should be, and we put monitoring agents on all of the equipment. And then we do things proactively. So, for example, a lot of things that will happen on a computer, disk filling up, a hard drive going bad, consistently running out of memory, there's early warning signs of these things. Now, for most companies, what happens is they come in the morning and their hard drive's crashed. They lost data. Well, if you've done your work ahead of time, that often doesn't happen. I can't say it never happens, but more than likely that hard drive was giving some errors a week or two before. We're making sure that the data that's on your hard drive at your desk is actually backed up on your server. We're watching those alerts. So the idea being that before that hard drive fills up and you have a problem tomorrow, our guy will have seen it a week ago. Last night they ran a script or they logged into it and cleaned up the hard drive so that tomorrow you never see it. So again, the idea is to be as unobtrusive as possible, to protect your network as much as we can protect it so that you have as few problems as possible. In fact, that's one of the real marketing or PR challenges in what we do. And the better we are at what we do, the less you see of us. And sometimes that means the less value you perceive because you're not seeing us very often. Well, that's the whole point, is that you don't see me very often. If I could change the oil in your car automatically so you'd never see it, that'd make you happy. You never have to be without your car while you change your oil. Right. So that's the whole idea with what we do, is to be very proactive, to manage everything, to monitor everything, to put policies in place so that you don't, with all the malware and virus outbreaks and things that have happened, we have very, very, very few incidences of that, far less than you would perceive on the news, because we've done all this work ahead of time to make sure that your password policies are what they should be, and the security in your machine is what they could be, and your users can't install malware without administrative access, and all these things are in place. So it's a very holistic approach to taking care of your network. Do all the things you have to do in advance to take care of the network rather than be reactive.
Okay.
And there's other things that we do. We do video surveillance, and we do telephones, and we do a lot of other things, but that's the core of what we do. It's called life cycle network management. Okay. So before we go to break real quick, I want to get your opinion. Like, so recently in the news, I don't know when you're listening to this out there, but recently in the news, the Equifax, was it Equifax or Experience? The Equifax, right, got hacked. And I know Target a while back was hacked, and all these huge companies. So is that something that could have been prevented, or is it just inevitable that somebody hacks your system? All right, I'm going to give you a response out of both sides of my mouth.
Okay.
In every case that you hear about one of those things, it could have been prevented. Always, it could have been prevented. That being said, there is no lock someone can't get through. Mm-hmm. If you have enough time and money, you can break into any vault. And that's true for computers as well. If you have enough time and money, you can guess any password. You can crack into any security that's made. The whole idea, and again, back to the way we do things, our approach is a very layered approach. So you have a firewall, and that firewall is one line of defense. The firewall has software, that's another line of defense. The machine has antivirus on it, that's another line of defense. Your passwords are complex, that's another line of defense. You train your users not to do certain things, that's another line of defense. So the more difficult you can make it, the longer it takes a hacker to get through, and the less likely you're going to be infected. Well, these guys you're talking about the same way. Now, in a lot of cases, you will, because of legal reasons, a lot of times they'll have to reveal what happened. Mm-hmm. And in almost every case for them, it was a mistake. It was somebody forgot to turn something on, somebody forgot to turn something off, somebody forgot to disconnect this, somebody left this database in a certain condition. There's almost always a mistake that can be traced back to it. It's rare, or a hole. Database software has security holes in it. The vendors are constantly patching those holes. But hackers may have found that hole and exploited it, and they're the most arcane things you can think of. I mean, if I stuff 3,000 zeros and a 1 into this particular file or into this particular place, mm-hmm. it will cause this to happen. Then I can stuff code in here. I mean, it's fairly complicated.
Okay.
But in most cases, you'll find there was a mistake made somewhere. Mm. But as an individual, we make mistakes as well. One of the most common mistakes that we make that hurt us in things like that. There's two reasons why something like these breaches will affect you as an individual. One is because of your personal information. I mean, they may crack into that database and get your social security number, your credit card information. All right, that's one level. The other is just for passwords, though, because what will happen is they'll crack into Equifax and they will get the password that you used at Equifax, and they'll guess, generally rightly so, that mm-hmm. you've used that password 1,000 other places. Yeah. So then they run a script that's available to you and I, and it will give them back a list of all the databases that it finds your email address in. They will then try to apply that same password to all those email addresses. Mm. Chances are 90% of them are going to match.
Yeah.
So the biggest single thing you can do, well, two things. One, use complex passwords. And two is don't use the same password twice. If you have two different sites you log into, use a different password in each place. That will protect you against the vast majority of things that concern most people.
But there's like 100 sites,
So you use an encrypted password tool.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it depends on what it's worth to you.
That's true.
It's a risk-reward kind of thing, It's like insurance. Most people, if they don't have to have insurance, they don't buy it. Mm-hmm. If you've never been hacked, it's not going to happen to me until it does.
Yeah. But everybody's been hacked now with Equifax, so it's happened to everybody. Probably multiple times we don't even know about it.
You're probably right.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Awesome. All right. We got to take a really quick break. Once again, everybody out there, I'm here with Mr. Chuck Brown, the CEO of Infinity Inc., and we'll be right back to put him through the lightning round. All right. See you guys in a second. Welcome back, Savannah, to the Savannah Business Showcase. I am Taraz Misha, your host, and I'm here with Mr. Chuck Brown, and the CEO of Infinity Inc., and we're going to put him through the lightning round. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What did you want to be as a kid, and how does that relate to your current business?
As a kid, the only job I can remember wanting is driving a garbage truck.
Really? Okay.
And some days I feel like a directly race.
How have you approached failure in life?
Not as well as I would like to have said I did. Sometimes well, sometimes you're very practical about it. You pick yourself up, you move on, because you can't change anything you've done. All you can do is how you deal with it in the future. I would love to say that had always been my opinion. Sometimes, like everybody else, I get mad, I stomp my feet, I get ticked off about it, and sometimes I handle it the right way. Mm-hmm. The right way is generally the most rewarding. I mean, mm-hmm. if you can reconcile yourself to the fact that you made a mistake, learn from it, move forward, and get over it, forgive yourself for it, you'll be a lot better off.
Who influenced you early in life, and who's your mentor now?
Early in life, probably my grandfather the most. My mother's father, M.D. Kitchens. He was a carpenter, and he was a hard worker. I mean, even as a teenager, he could work me to death. He had an old school ethic. If two boards didn't match up, you didn't put putty to cover the gap. You took a claw hammer, you ripped it, and you did them over again. You did that until you got it right, and that was just the way he did things, and that had a big impact on me. Mentor now. I don't know who that would be now.
Okay.
Not a good answer, but the truth.
That's fine. Yeah, fair enough. Tell me a story about a failure you've been through with Infinity.
A failure with Infinity. Guess you can cut out the awkward silence in between here.
We'll leave it in. I appreciate you thinking hard about it. A lot of guests just jump in.
There are always failures. Probably, without getting too specific, probably the biggest failures are putting the desire to close a deal ahead of making sure it was the right customer to close the deal with. Every client is not a good fit for what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Through no fault of their own necessarily. Some are too small, some don't have the right mindset. One of the things that as we've grown and matured and evolved that we've realized is that we're only going to take clients that are a good fit for what we do, and that means that you have to value what we do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it has to be and it has to be a good core value fit. And sometimes it's not. Sometimes companies are in a place where IT isn't that important. As an example, we had a client who had a fairly significant IT infrastructure, and we talked with managed services, and he said, you know, Chuck, if I needed to, I could take out a pad and a pencil, and we could run our business off of this. Well, if that's really how you feel, then paying us for services doesn't make a lot of sense, because if you're down, it's not that big a deal.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably the biggest failures that I can think of right now are ones where we didn't think it through carefully. We really wanted to make the deal, so we did, and it was a mistake, and it wasn't a good fit.
Okay. So there's someone watching this right now who's about to go through the same failure where they're working with the wrong clients and they don't know how to. So how would you advise them?
Have the courage to have that conversation with the client early on, and simply say, you know what, it's not you, it's me. you know, just tell them, you know, because of these reasons, we don't feel like we're a good fit for you right now. We're not going to have a healthy relationship. We'll be here for you, and we have told people that, you know what, if you need me, call me. I'll be here for you. If you need me to help you evaluate other companies, I'll help you with that. Mm-hmm. But we're not a good fit for you right now. Mm. And just be honest with them. And that's the best way to deal with it.
How did you get your first client?
The first client I remember, I'm not positive this is the first, because when you're doing IT stuff, I mean, you know, you're helping people with their PC at home or whatever. Mm. It's hard to say when you actually have your first client. The first client that I can actually put my finger on was Sulzer Diesel Engines. It was a Swiss company that had an office downtown. I don't think they're there anymore. A friend of mine called me and he said, I know you're doing some of this stuff. You want to do this stuff on the outside. Do you want them as a client? So I went there, and the gentleman who ran the company, the general manager here, his name was Leo Schnellman. He was a Swiss German. Very polite, but very Swiss Germanish, very short of speech and whatever. Mm-hmm. And he told me that he had called several people, and the first person that showed up was one he was going to hire, and I was there. Mm. So if I wanted the job, it was mine. And he hired a CPA the first way. He'd gone in the book. He'd called 5 people. Most wouldn't show up. The first one that showed up, that was, and as it turns out, the gentleman that came there became a client as well of mine. I met him there, and we got to talking, and so it worked out well. And they were our first significant client downtown, and they were a good client for many years.
That does say a lot about people if they're there and they're prompt, because
that's what. Well, again, and I think it was they were. It's funny when you talk about diesel engines, you think of big, dirty, greasy. They had very high-end engineers that flew all over the world to fix engines the size of a house in ships that were stranded somewhere. Mm-hmm. It was a very precise business, mm-hmm. and that's the way Leo was. It was very precise, and it had to be a certain way, and he valued that a lot, that timeliness.
So you do have kids. Much of them are older. What did you teach them about business and entrepreneurship? Did you teach them anything about it?
Not nearly enough. You look back at the things you wish you'd have done differently, and that is one of the things that I wish I'd have done differently and brought them into the business more. I think even today, the older ones kind of do. Obviously Chad does because he works with me, but a lot of our kids don't really understand what we do. And even for adults, understanding what we do sometimes, if you're not the guy fixing the computer, they don't really understand the running of a business part of it and what that really takes and what it means. And I think that was a mistake on my part, is really not bringing them into the business more and teaching them more about what it meant to run a business, what it meant to manage employees, what it meant to stand by in a business, to stand by the core values. So the things that we talked about picking the right client, because that also affects other things in life. I mean, make sure that the thing you're doing is the right thing to do, because you want to do it doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. And all of those business principles I'd have been much better off teaching them that early on.
What is one thing in your business that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that excites you?
I'm sorry, repeat the question.
What's one thing in your business that drains you of energy, and what's one thing that really excites you and gives you energy? Deep questions.
One of the draining things, we have a phenomenal team at Infinity. We've worked very hard, but that is also one of the things that drains you, because your job as a leader is to empower the people to work for you. That's the only job I've got, really. I mean, it's to empower the other people, because I don't typically, I go on sales calls, but that's not my primary job. When you're a manager, your job is to enable your people to do their jobs. And you're always looking for how to do that. And there's a balance between, what you do for the employees, making sure the company itself is taken care of, because every employee is going to be happy if you go in tomorrow and say, I'm going to pay you each $1 million a year, but the company's out of business. Yeah. So our passion is seeing the lights come on. When you're sitting there explaining to somebody a solution for a problem they're having, and it just clicks, that's what we get out of bed in the morning for. Because you see it on their face. You see they recognize that you can make their life better. And it sounds really trite, but IT is a huge drain on most companies. They don't want to deal with it. And you asked me what we bring to the table a while back. One of the big things that our managed services product brings to the table is taking the load off of our clients, because typically it's something they have to worry about. The owner's worried about it. Do I have backups? Do I have what I need? If there's another disaster, how am I going to recover it? And then maybe they have somebody that was in accounting or somebody that was in maintenance, and the guy knew a little bit about computers. So now they're their IT person, and it's their responsibility to make sure of these things. And you come in and you explain, here's what we can do for you. We will take this off of you. We will let you be as involved as you want to be, but take on no more than you want. And you just see this sigh of relief. And I literally can't count the number of times they've said, that's what I want. That's what I want to hear, that I don't have to worry about it. And I love that. I love being able to take that off of people, and the fact that they get what we do and they value what we do.
What's something you consume religiously? Could be a blog, TV show, podcast, food.
I'm trying to remember how to pronounce the guy's last name. There is a guy named Tim Challis, Challis, that writes a blog that I really like. It's very contemporary, very conservatively Bible-based. But it's just something I enjoy. I look forward to reading it every day. Okay.
Awesome. I'll look it up. What's something most people don't know about you?
Ooh. Most people don't know about me. There's probably not a lot, because I'm pretty bland and I'm pretty much an open book. Wow, most people don't know about me. I really don't know. That I like to hunt and fish is pretty common. David and I are both fairly decent cooks. We like to cook. Okay. One of the things, this won't be that most people don't know, but we have something in our company called Boss's Birthday Bake Off, where each month David and I alternate baking a cake for the company for whoever had birthdays that month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we enjoyed doing that.
Nice. Okay.
So that'll have to do. I don't know.
No, that's good. What got what got you into cooking, or you just always like to cook?
My mom cooked growing up. I mean, it's hilarious now. People come to town and they go to Paula Deen's, and we're very proud of Paula Deen. I'm a hometown girl, done well. But it's funny here, people come from out of town and they rave by the food. I'm like, this is the stuff we got every day.
Right.
I mean, we grew up on this stuff. This is why my cholesterol's what it is now. I mean, fried chicken, pork chops, green beans. I mean, this is just home cooking to us.
Yep.
But Mom cooked, and she would. We didn't cook a lot with her, but we cooked with her.
Mm-hmm.
So probably just being around cooking. My grandparents cooked, my mom cooked. It was a family thing.
What is the best gift you've ever given or received?
Best gift I've ever given or received. Oh, it's an or. Probably the best gift I've ever been given would be my wife. She keeps me centered. She's, we're both believers. We worship together. We enjoy being together, and it's just somebody that I look forward to being with the rest of my life. I mean, that's a good gift.
Yeah, it's a great gift. That's a great gift. It's rare. Anyway, make sure she listens to this. Get those brownie points. What do you? Just a few more. What do you miss most about being a kid?
Lack of responsibility. And that's it. When you're a kid, you don't know how good you have it. You leave in the morning, you go out, you play in the ditches, you ride your bike, you break things, you shoot things, you cut things. At the end of the day, you go to bed and it's all over with.
Mm-hmm.
And when you grow up, you've got family responsibilities, and you've got bills, and you've got kids, and you've got business, and you've got payroll, and then if you're crazy enough to want to listen to the radio, you can worry about North Korea. I mean, you naming this stuff to worry about. So.
Right. Yeah, if you ask my wife, she'll tell you I still do all those things.
Yeah.
And then she gets mad at me. Favorite book?
Favorite book? Wow. Actually, I don't know if it's a favorite book. It's the best one that I can remember, and first one I've read that I really, really enjoyed in a long time. There's a book I've started reading about halfway through it called "I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist," and it's the first book I've read of its type. There is a youth thing that Kenny Grant is doing called Stand coming up in a couple of months. And the guy who's speaking at it wrote this book, and I went and bought the book. And he goes through science, philosophy, all of the reasons people say that they're an atheist, and basically shows how each one of those is more proof. It takes more faith to not believe than to believe. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have to keep going through the book, going, wow. I'm just really enjoying that book. So that's my new favorite book.
I like that. That makes a lot of sense.
It's a very good book.
Yeah.
And again, it approaches things from a philosophy, science perspective rather than from a different direction. Mm-hmm. So
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like, even if you don't believe in God, you still have to believe in something, and it just ends up being yourself.
One of the examples he gives, he said, the Big Bang Theory is a bigger proof there is a God than that there isn't. He said, because even if you ask scientists, they will tell you that the amount of energy it would have taken to produce what they call the Big Bang would be basically miraculous. Well, it takes something to generate a miracle. Mm-hmm. So things like that, he's like, where did Big Bang come from? And again, goes through all the modern and older philosophers, scientists, whatever. I mean, it's a very good book. I usually start books and then get about half to 3/4 way through and put them down. And I'm like, I get bored. Yeah. I haven't gotten that way with this one yet, so it's been good.
Okay, good. Do you remember the author's name?
No, but I can tell you real quick if you want to know.
Well, I'll figure it out. I got the title. I'm sure it'll be the only thing that pops up. So, concept, I asked all the guests this. There's a concept called the 80-20 principle. Mm-hmm. 20% of your actions equal 80% of your results. In Infinity Inc., what is the 20% of things you do that gets you the most results?
Are you asking that in a tactical way or big picture philosophical way?
Either way you want to take it.
Well, I mean, and again, I know it. I listen to these kind of things because I think they sound very trite, but honestly, it is trying to do things the right way. I mean, trying to make the right choices rather than the easiest choices or the most profitable choices or the less conflict choices or try to do the right thing. That drives so much success. If you have a problem where you've screwed something up with a client, which we have, I mean, hate to say it, truth is we have. You pick up the phone and you say, here's what happened, here's why it happened, here's what we're doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. 9 times out of 10, they will go, okay, thanks for calling. The current way to do it is to try to find a way to work your words around the truth so you don't really have to own up to it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't throw our people under the bus, and we don't lie to our customers. And that carries so much, that buys you so much political capital.
Mm-hmm.
Because people know you're going to tell them the truth. They know you're not going to try to twist it. They know you're not going to try to deceive them. Now, that being said, to be fair, that doesn't mean that you have to call everybody up and completely dump your guts. I mean, it doesn't mean you have to say everything you know, but you have to tell the truth and not in a deceptive way. And that, I mean, honestly, if it's an 80-20, that's it. Communications.
2 more. Is there a quote that's always been a mantra that you live by?
No. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking there's a ton of things. There's a ton of quotes that I'll read them and I'll think, wow, that's really cool, or Bible verses that have meaning to me. But as far as something that I live by that I've always gone back to, not really. I mean, I can make one up for you, but I'd rather just be honest and say no.
All right. I like the honesty. Do the right thing. There you go. I got you. All right, last one. So, advice for 2 more. I lied. If you had go. If you had a superpower or ability, what would you choose and why?
Ooh.
Nothing.
No, that's one that, it's funny. We've talked about this. We teach middle school, Sunday school class.
Okay.
We've talked to our kids about that before. And the problem with superpowers is that they always have unintended consequences. If you could read people's minds, you'd have to read their minds. Mm-hmm. And then you'd have to know what they think. And that's not always something you really want to know. There's just, every superpower has a double-edged sword to it. Mm-hmm. Want a superpower. Honestly, the old Solomon thing. I would like to be wiser. I'd like for it to be clearer sometimes what the right choices are. Mm-hmm. But a superpower, I don't really want one.
Okay.
Winning lottery number I'll take, but superpower I don't really want.
Okay, and finally the last one, or last but not least, advice for entrepreneurial kids and their parents.
For the kids, I would say do the best you can in school. Try hard to succeed. Doesn't mean you have to be number 1 in your class. But you hear, it's funny, you hear kids who've come out of the worst of circumstances who've been highly successful. Mm-hmm. We have a victim mentality these days that it's because of my parents, it's because of my neighborhood, it's because of my environment, it's because, instead of simply saying, you know what, I am where God's put me today, and I'm going to make the best of it I can with that, and just do your best, because some things you can change, some things you can either accept them or you can fight them. But accepting it and just pushing forward is going to get you a lot further in life. Mm-hmm. And for parents, just support and love your kids. I mean, listen to them. Again, as a parent, you go back and you look at your kids, and there's a lot of things I wish I'd done differently. Spending more time with your kids, listening to them, helping nurture the things that were important to them. I think all those things, because I think a lot of kids, just what you say, they may show an entrepreneurial spirit early on. They may show a spark. Your kid wants to have a lemonade stand, help them build a lemonade stand. Just help them nurture that. And that'd be it.
Great point to end off on. Thank you, Chuck, for being a part of the show.
Enjoy it.
Also, thank you, Kat. How do you pronounce your last name, Kat? Bettis. Okay, thank you to Catherine Bettis for putting this together, listening to my show, reaching out to me to get Chuck on the show. So I really appreciate you connecting us. So it was a great interview. Chuck, how can people find you? How can people get in contact with Infinity Inc.?
www.infinityinc.us. Probably the easiest way. They can call us 912-650-1816. Any of the ways. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, at Infinity Sav.
Awesome. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everybody for listening. Once again, find them on social media at Infinity Sav. Chuck Brown, Catherine Battis of Infinity Inc. And thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Hope you have a great rest of your week. Hope you go out there and do something impactful in the world. Go out there and help somebody just that's close to you, that you can touch, that you can reach. You don't have to be a millionaire to do anything amazing in the world. You can help somebody right down the street from you. So thank you guys for listening. Follow us on social media as well. Savannah Business Showcase everywhere. And we'll see you next time. Thanks. Bye.